Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Singaravil sir and Lila Prasad sir, for nice introduction. So I'm Dr. Syed Mujahid Hussaini. Currently, I'm an entrepreneur. Actually, still I'm holding as a professor. I'm a visiting professor in WITS as well as other institutes, and I'm having my own company, a plastic. It's called as a Plastic Engineering in Hyderabad. It having almost some 3 years. It's almost completing 3 years. So myself and two of my partners have started this company. So when the Singarwell sir approached me to give one webinar, I thought this because I'm now running plastic company. So whatever the difficulties are coming in plastic processing as well as recycling, because government is nowadays most encouraging for the recycling. So I thought to give a webinar on plastic processing and recycling. So when I presented this to some of my friends, so they asked why plastics? Because plastic is not a good material, and government is planning to ban. So I thought take that as a that initially. So my this presentation is in three parts. I can divide. First one, I can talking about what are the difficulties are coming. Mostly challenges of plastics. What we are facing. So really, it is real problems are there, and why government planning to ban the single-use plastics. So those things we discuss initially, and then technical things I'm going to discuss about different processings. What are the manufacturing processes? So mostly students, especially because they BTech mechanical as well as production students, so mostly they studied about manufacturing or processing of metals in their curriculum. I think plastic is not much covered. Briefly, they have discussed, and they're having few experiments in their production lab, but they're not focusing much on plastic. So I thought just I can give some glimpses about different manufacturing processes, how different components we are manufacturing by using these plastics. And last one, because I'm an entrepreneur and also I'm a professor, so I suggested, means I possible, maybe not much time, maybe 10 minutes if I get the time, I can explain about my journey as an entrepreneur, and I can encourage the students, especially in this COVID-19. So I think we got a lot of placements, but because of slowdown and because of other things, placements, even some students got the placement, but unfortunately, they're not at companies are not yet decided to join them. So this is one of the opportunity for them to start an entrepreneur, their own entrepreneur, whether it's even in plastics or it is in any other thing, any other thing. This only I'll share with my experience if time permits, because a given time is 1 hour. So just we'll go now. So I'll start my presentation. So this is when we are coming to plastic. So these things are coming into mind, because recently government also having thinking to ban, maybe in last year 2019 Independence Day speech, our Prime Minister told that we are going to ban single-use plastics. So in within he's given some 2 months time also. By Gandhi Jayanti he want to stop that, but later he's realized, so what is exactly plastic and why this problem is coming. That's why you see after that there is no ban on plastic. But there is a ban on some components, like carry bags which is less than 40 microns thickness, or maybe bottles which having less weight bottles. Those bottles are banned, but plastic as such is not banned in anywhere in India, not only in India, in anywhere. So we having a lot of developed countries are there: USA, Canada, China, Singapore. I visited a few of countries, European countries, France. All these companies never ban plastics, albeit they'll put some restriction in some of the components. So like carry bags, if you say. So maybe carry bags, maybe they have a restriction. So these are the things which is come to my mind. So plastic is a devil material. So plastic is bad for the environment. Plastic causes cancer. Plastic kills animals and birds. So these things are there, and in this few maybe facts are there. I agree, few are facts. But why this is happening? That because I need to take that one, because now young generation or maybe people like us, professional, they will think this is a very bad material, plastics. But actually, plastic is a not bad material. So why we are thinking, what is why we are calling it as a bad? So if you take, these are the pictures. So these are the things which is really bad, which is polluting the atmosphere. If you say in ocean completely, if you say the picture, ocean completely filled with plastic bags, bottles, unwanted materials, and even animals, sea animals as well as birds, everybody is dying by eating these plastics. Similarly, in everywhere you can say, in land, on trees, and everywhere the plastic is uh, is is flowing. I can say it as a flowing. Everywhere you can see plastics. A lot of plastic waste is there, and even animals, especially animals, are dying. So So they eating these plastic bags, plastic bottle, which is a small in sizes, they eating, and these things, plastic is normally a non-degradable material. It's not degradable. So it's not, if you keep it plastic as it is for 100 years, it will be like that. So it may not destroy like normal metals and other material when it is biodegradable. So this material is not biodegradable. So because of that, the problems are coming. So these plastic, if you say, so wherever this plastic is there, so is this plastic is come itself? Is it grown on the trees, or maybe it is planted on the land, or maybe it is grown in the sea? No, right? So it is not given just like that. It's not grown there. It is we peoples, we are not used properly. So after using, we are throwing the plastic bags, plastic bottles wherever we want. So in that condition, it is going with the wind, going with the water flow, and going and it's joining in the water bodies. So finally, because of these things, so our water bodies are polluting, our air is polluting because of these things. And this is, as such, if you take, it's not fault in plastic, it's a fault in us. So we used to think about, when you are handling any plastics, we need to proper disposition system has to be there in plastics. So if we handle properly, so these bags has been properly handled, and after that, if I properly recycle, and whatever the pictures you've seen previously, so those pictures may not come, and we not talk about the bad effects of plastics. So whatever we are calling it as the plastic is bad material, it is cause cancer. So all these things it's just an attack on the material, and there is just a perception of individual. So there is as such, plastic is not at all bad. Anybody can say that after this presentation. If you see, if something we are doing, if some student is writing an exam, and in class of 60 students, if a subject, for example, you take production technology or material science or design, whatever the subject, mechanical or computer science, whatever the subject you take, a student write the exam, and finally, if the student is fail in the exam, so who we need to blame? So we need to blame a pen which is write the exam, or we need to blame the student who is not prepared well for the exam, or he don't have sufficient knowledge, or he's not attend the exam, attend the classes. So whom we need to blame? So we never blame the pen, right? Who's writing the exam. But here, what we're doing in plastic, we're doing the same thing. We are blaming the pen. The student is failed because pen is not written properly. So that is correct? That is a myth, right? This is a wrong perception. So we need to remove that perception. So whatever the plastic is there, so if we proper having disposition system, if as a person we need to throw this plastic bottles or bags or anything in a proper place, and if we send it to recycling, so then these problems never come. So these a proper disposition systems are there in most of the developed countries, I can say. In Singapore, you cannot see any plastics bags on land or in water bodies. Even if you see France, even USA, so we are not finding that, because there is the proper disposition system is there for every waste, not only plastic, every waste. But unfortunately, in our country, we don't have the proper disposition system. So if you see one of the picture, whatever I posted it here, so he did say nothing but a recyclable a box, like one container will be there. So after using your water bottle or whatever the bottles or carry bags or anything, you can put there, and by return, what it will give you the money. It will give you dollars. It will give you yen. So actually, whatever the water bottle, whatever the scrap is there, it is generating money. So that's why you see on that it is written as a gold. Plastic, turn plastic into gold. Means whatever the plastic bottles are there, it's written giving money to you. It's a good thing, right? So in our India, it is not there. So we are taking the bottle, we are drinking the water or cool drink, we are throwing the bottle wherever we want. So that is causing the hazardous or maybe pollution in the society, in the country, on the land, on the water. So we try to stop ourselves to miss positioning of these carry bags or these plastic bottles. So for everything, so there is some system is there. So this plastic is sustainable polymers, actually. So plastic is nothing but it's a polymer, and it is never be destroyed. It is biodegradable. It's not never be non-degradable material. It's never be degradable. So you can keep its life is very long. So it is coming from hydrocarbons. So almost all the polymers, you say, it's basically hydrocarbons. Along with the hydrocarbons, maybe we having other elements like fluorine, chlorine, other lot of other things are there. Basically, if you take, this is the hydrocarbons. So almost all the students studied about the polymers in your organic chemistry. So in your 10 or 10 plus 2, you studied. So you know about all the polymers. So if you recycle plastic properly, so properly handling, and if you properly recycling, you see wonderful things you can see in this picture. So all the things are made by recycled plastic. Instead of throwing plastic on garbage, throwing plastic on road, if you properly put it to a recycling process, you see wonderful components are coming in. So if you say in the right side, so directly they're reusing the object. We are not recycling also, just reusing. So whatever the bottles we have, whatever the bottles we already consumed, so that bottle, if you take properly, you see how much good you can show. So similarly, if you take in other things, maybe here by using this bottles, used bottles, maybe you can make some kind of plastic object, plastic maybe doormats. You can make it using recycling material, and here in between black, maybe you can see some kind of decorative articles also can possible to make. So all these things has to be taken care by as a person. 80% is depends upon the persons individually on us, and as well as we need to have a system. So maybe municipalities or maybe government has to be take care about that, and they need to take proper system to proper disposal of plastics, as well as send it to these used plastics, whether it's a single use or multi-use plastic, to a recycle plants, so that they again recycle it and they can again reuse the plastics. So if you see in this, maybe you can see in bottom there is a plastic tiles are there. Nowadays these plastic tiles 100% made by recycled plastic material, that too single use plastic. So we would take in left side of this picture at the bottom, we have one road in Hyderabad. So in Hyderabad, the roads normally people are using, the municipality GHMC is using to lay down the roads using plastic. So plastic is nothing but it's not completely plastic. So normally we used to have tar roads, right? So in that tar road, they're mixing with this, whatever the plastic bags, plastic scrap, whatever is coming, they're mixing. So by mixing this, the bonding between the particles in tar will increase. So strength of the road is increasing. So as the strength of the road is increases, any rain of anything is come, it may not easily damage the road. So life of the road is increasing. So maybe in Hyderabad, we have seen in Hyderabad, maybe participants maybe in different parts of India. So you can see in your cities, so municipality will lay the road, whether it's a blacktop road or normal road. After a few days, or maybe after a few weeks, or maybe within 2 to 3 months, if rain comes, we can see the potholes in the road. So that is happening in, we don't have the proper strength in the road. If you add these recycled plastic in that one, so strength of the material is increasing. So just I want to say here, so whatever the things we are using, so plastic, instead of scrapping it and throwing it on the road, we need to send it to a recycling process, and in that recycling process, we can use a lot of things. And the second perspective, what is coming nowadays, so why using carry bags? So go for paper bags. So now if you see, if you go any super bazaar, so people stop giving you the carry bags or plastic bags. They're using whether it's a cloth, fabric bag, or maybe paper bags. Because price-wise, if you take maybe cloth's bag is maybe little bit higher price. That's why most of the super bazaar, they used to keep as a paper bags. So just I want to show you, so what is the differences between paper bag and carry bag, whether really paper bag is good compared with carry bag. If you say here, see in this slide, so plastic bags, normally for manufacturing a plastic bag, it consumes only 18% of energy, which is required to making a paper bag. So 18% means almost 82% more energy is required to make a paper bag, right? So this 82 energy is coming from where? So energy mostly we have, I think 80% of the power we are coming from thermal power plants, or maybe hydel power plants, where we are burning the fossil fuels. By burning the fossil fuel, we are liberating carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, harmful gases we are liberating. So then you think now how much energy is required. Almost 6 times more fuels are burning to make one carry bag compared with one paper bag. So carry bags is energy consumption wise, it is good. And as well as if you take the price wise, carry bag is cheaper in price, and carry bag you can multiple times you can use. Whether it's paper bag you cannot use. If some water is there, or maybe something is there, if it tear out, or maybe some water, if it is some water is joining on that, so paper bag is not useful. But the carry bag, plastic carry bag is not an issue. Maybe even you can dip in the water, you can clean the cover, and again you can use it. So plastic bags also use only 3% of fresh water compared with paper. So paper normally coming from trees. So if you want to make a paper bag, you need to cut a tree, right? So cut a tree, and this tree has to have a lot of water, because in paper pulp has to processing with water before going to the paper. So almost how many times you just see it, almost 30-35 times more water is required than a carry bag. So nowadays in this situation, water is more precious, because in this earth we are present, we are surviving, we are living. Any animal, any creature is living because of water is available in liquid form, right? So even in summer, you see how much water crisis are there. Now even people are migrating. So because of water crisis, people are migrating. Water is one of the important part in our life. So we are wasting water by using these paper bags. So plastic bags produce, even the, you say the scrap, so 80% less scrap is generating by plastic bags. So you just imagine, so to handle the paper bags, you need to have 5 trucks, where is the same amount of output maybe within 1 truck, or maybe within 1 container you can handle the carry bag. So means almost you're saving the transportation cost by 80%. So it takes, even if you're going for recycling, because I'm in my topic processing as well as the recycling, if the same plastic, instead of throwing out the same carry bags, you can recycle it, and if again it generate, even still the energy consumption cost requirement is still less. So 91% less energy is required compared to the recycling of paper. Paper also can be recyclable, plastic also recyclable. So plastic recycling reducing 91% of the energy it will save. So 90% of the energy is 82% of the water we are saving. You see which one is good. So just whatever we are saying, this is just a myth. The plastic is not good, it is harmful for the environment. So this is harmful because of our behavior, our non-properly disposing. So we need to do that. So now we're going to see the plastic, just basics I'm covering. I think this is, everybody know the plastics is nothing but polymers. The plastic is come from a Greek word called plastokos. So plastic is come from plastokos, a Greek word. So this meaning of plastokos is nothing but it's a moldable. So any material moldable is called as the plastokos. So plastics, it's an organic chemistry, maybe you studied already. So plastic is a polymer. Polymer, in that number of mers are there. So single unit, we can call it as a monomer, single unit. And if it is the monomers is joined together, some 100,000s of monomers is forming a big chain of molecule. Maybe you can see in this slide in the picture. So maybe you having a number of elements, number of monomers are joining together, and then forming a big molecules of very lot of small molecules. So this is the polymer. So if you take anything, so if you take ethylene, we organic chemistry, you studied about ethylene, propylene. If this is a single unit, you can call it as a ethylene. If it is a poly, it become a polyethylene. If it is a propylene, it's become a polypropylene. If it is a other material, anything, ethane, polyethane. So this joining all this material, it's become a polythene. So we're getting a polythene, and this polythene used to call polymers used to call as a plastics. So these unique class of, it's a very good material actually. So this kind of material you cannot find, because you see, so this is a wonder material, came into existing by virtue of their superior performance and cost effectiveness. So cost of the plastics is always less than cost of any metal. So this material, I can call this as a Chiranjeevi. So because always it is live. So there is no end for the plastics. There is no, because it cannot be, even water, moisture, air, whatever the elements are there, those things are not effect on the material. Because the most of the polymers, whatever the 99% of the polymers are saturated chemical compounds. So there is no chemical reaction is possible after this. If you want to do the chemical reaction, you need to give a lot of energy. So in this normal atmosphere, so whatever the humidity level or whatever the things are there, whatever the temperature, it's not affecting on the plastics. That's why I used to call it as a Chiranjeevi material. So always it is live. So over the years, applications of spectrum of plastics had widely with the advent of new generations. So as the industry grows, as the industrial revolution has come, so every year periodically new material, new plastic material is inventing by as per the required properties, as per the required things. Even for nowadays, people are working to generate degradable plastics. So recently, I presented one exhibition cum conference in IIT in Mumbai. So there is a lot of research is happening in IIT Mumbai as well as IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi. So especially to degradable plastics. So whatever the animals are eating, whatever the birds are doing this, so it may not affect them. It can easily digestible. Even in the ocean, if it is there, so it can easily degradable after some time, maybe after few days or after few few weeks, it can degradable and can mix with the water. So those things people are working, a lot of research is going on still. So this is a basic history of plastic material. I'm not going to cover this. These are all things you can get it. So actually initial, if you take the symptoms of plastics or maybe existence of plastics was there in 1800 BC. If you take in Egyptian pyramids, Egyptian, the royal tombs, whatever we used to call. So there, if you visit anytime, maybe you can see there is some existence of plastics was there. So this Egyptian was used plastics in 1800 BC, means almost 4,000 years compared with now. Almost for last 4,000 years, plastic is using. But plastic in industrial use and domestic use is come in 1862 when people are invented about polymerization process. Maybe in organic chemistry you studied about polymerization, where whatever the chains of elements are forming. So this process is called as a polymerization. When we invented the polymerization, this process, the plastic is generally usable now. So from 1962, there is a lot of revolution is happening periodical in there. So a lot of new material like Teflon, Bakelite, which is using for engineering applications, are invented. Polyethylene, polypropylene, polythene, which are using for carry bags. PET, polyethylene terephthalene, which is using for water bottles. So all this material is invented periodically. So as a new material is inventing, it is coming to be increasing. And one more myth, whatever I discussed, plastic is cause cancer. So is it few years back? It was a fact. So if you keep in plastic containers a eatable foods for long time, there is a possibility as there is a forming of some kind of harmful elements are coming to that one. So especially those kind of things is forming with PVC, polyvinyl chloride, maybe. So polyvinyl chloride, normally PVC pipes we are using in our home in our homes. So PVC normally it is banned. Some in 1980s, end 80s and 90s, it is banned for use of food items. So PVC we are using, but in food items we are not using PVC. So instead of PVC, now in food items, these used to call as a food grade plastics. So there is some special category plastics only we are using for packaging of water, packaging of whatever the edible oils, whatever the oils or whatever the food we are consuming, that used to pack not in PVC. So PVC may be cause cancer, but PET or maybe PP, polypropylene is using nowadays. So these material is not causing any kind of cancer. So coming to the advantages, I hope everybody know the advantages of plastics. So it's corrosion resistance. Obviously, it is not reacting with the environment, so no corrosion. Chemical resistance, even it's you can use some kind of acids also you can use in the plastic. It's not cannot having any reaction. Flexibility, it is more flexible. You can even if you see, if you want to heat the material at some particular temperature, it's become flexible and to deform into the whatever the shape, and you can use it. So even if you want to change the shape, again you need to heat it. The flexibility is coming. So because of this flexibility, we can recycling the plastic material. And plastic material is very light in weight, low coefficient of friction, leak-proof joint compared with metal or maybe ceramic containers. If you take, it's having sustainability. So the main advantage actually is the sustainability, but this will become a disadvantage now in this because of mishandling of polymers and plastics by us. So cost effective, definitely it is a less price if you take compare the price of a plastic container as well as the price of a other material. Just example, if you take the glass. So previously, you see it 15-20 years back, most of the cool drinks used to come in the glasses, right? Calcium or maybe sodium glass material we used to use. So those glass materials are a little costlier than plastic material, and also they're heavy, higher in weight, and also they're not flexible. They can break it if it is fallen from our hand. Those glass bottles are used to break. So nowadays the glass is completely replacing with this food grade plastic. Not all plastics, by only with the food grade plastic. There is food security societies are there in every country. So every country used to check before permitting any material for the food packaging. They will check and they will give the certification. So if they're certified, then only we can use those material for packing of food items. So these material, whatever the PP, polypropylene, PET, polyethylene terephthalene, all these things are verified from the food security, and they can pack the food items in this. And it's a self-lubricating also because temperature properties are less. Then coming to the further fundamentals. So I think everybody know the plastics are nothing but polymers. You can classify into two categories: thermopolymers and thermosets, right? So thermoplastics. So now the polymers is nothing but we can call it as a plastic, thermoplastic and thermoset plastics. So thermoplastics normally we used to call it as a recyclable plastic, which can be recycled. So thermoplastic, maybe you studied in your material science as well as in your chemistry, that when you are heating the material, it will soft. You need to make into the whatever the required shape it can give the shape, and you can cool down. It is become the hard now. So this is a recyclable material. Those recycling properties are coming because of very light cross-linking in thermoplastics. So in every plastic is made of long chain molecules. So these chain molecules are cross-linked by a cross-linking. So in that, chemical cross-linking will be there. So these cross-linking is very less in thermoplastics. So because of very less cross-linking, whenever heat the material, so that heat energy is used to break this cross-linking and make the material to be flowable, make the material to be soft, and you can make into the required shape. So that is there. The normal examples of thermoplastics are HDP, high density polyethylene, LDP, low density polyethylene, PVC, plastics, PP, polypropylene, nylon, ABS, PET. So all these things are thermoplastics actually. They can recyclable. And second category is coming as thermosets. So thermosets is nothing but the cross-linking is more here. So normally compared with thermoplastics, so cross-linking between the molecules is higher in number. So this cross-linking breaking is not easy. It's not possible actually. So breaking of cross-linking is not possible. That's why this material cannot be recycled. We cannot be reuse it again. So by melting, by heating it, once you set the material to be a form, it is in that shape only. The example, if you take a kind of egg, if you take thermoplastic, is like a water. So water, if you're reducing the temperature, it's become ice. Again, if you're increasing the temperature, it's converting into, again, it's water. So it is a recyclable water, right? But if you take an egg is not recyclable. So initially, egg is in a liquid form. So once you boiled it, once you take some higher temperature, it is free. It will be solidified. It's become solid. So once it becomes solid, you never be converted back into a liquid form. So same thing, thermosets. Once you're making it to a form, a material, you need to make it, whether it's the electronic equipment or electronic appliances, whatever. So once you make it, it cannot go back to any other shape. So it has set in that shape, you cannot change it. So this is happening because of high cross-linking in the molecules. So examples are, if you take the epoxy resins, glass, reinforced plastics, whatever nowadays we're using, the carbon fiber plastics, all these things are non-recyclable. This is considering as a thermosets. So plastics also classified based upon their applications. So commodity plastics as well as engineering or performance plastics. So normally commodity plastic means the plastics whichever we are using in domestic applications or in general applications. If the same the plastics which is using for engineering applications like automobiles or engine parts or transmission systems, so those kind of plastics are used to called as a engineering plastics or performance plastics. So commodity plastics, whatever the PP, whatever the polyethylene, whatever the PET, all these things is come under commodity plastics. And engineering plastics is other like ABS. ABS is nothing but acrylate, butadiene, styrene. So ABS, SAN, nylon, PMMA. So PMMA is nothing but polymethyl methacrylate. So these material is used for engineering applications. So using engineering application, normally in these material, strength of the plastics is higher compared with the previous material. So, compared with LDP, HDP, PP, polypropylene. So this material, nylon, ABS, this material having higher strength. So because of high strength, and even it can withstand high temperatures. So normal plastic used to melt somewhere about 100 degrees to 450 to 500 degrees centigrade. So this whatever the commodity plastic normally melts somewhere about 150 to 200 degrees centigrade, whereas the engineering plastics can withstand even for 300 up to 400 degrees centigrade also it can withstand. So just normal consumption. So if you take the plastic consumption in the worldwide, so USA is raising ahead almost per person every year 68 kg of plastics are consumed in USA, whereas in India it is hardly coming to be 8 kg of plastics per year consumed by person per head. So we are very less consumption wise. If you take, we are very less. I think this kind of whatever the problems we are facing, that can be solvable if having a proper system, and we need to decide to don't throw plastic bags or any kind of things on open places. We need to have a proper disposition system. So Indian plastic industry, just I need to glimpse it. So made promising. Actually, in 1890 itself, plastic started using in other countries, but in India it was come little late. So after we got independence in 47, almost after 10 years, we used to start manufacturing plastics in 1957. So we start manufacturing plastics in 2015-16. As per 2015-16's industrial report, so we used to make 7.64 billions of US dollar in every year by making this plastic from the plastic. And domestic consumption is expected to touch nearly 20 million metric ton by 2020 by this year. So this was in 2015-16 prediction. So almost we reached that. So more than 2,000 exports. So we from India, almost more than 2,000 companies are exporting plastic to the other countries. So because of this, we are generating a lot of foreign currency. So almost 10 million people are directly or indirectly dependent on this plastic industry. So almost 30,000 plus. So processing industries are there in India, in entire India, pan India. If you take almost more than 30,000. So in that 80 to 85% of industries are small scale industries, small or micro industries, which is, I hope you know that what is the small scale industry and big industries. If the turnover is less or expenditure is less in any industry, that industry called as a small. So most of this micro, small, medium and heavy industries is coming based upon their expenditure as well as turnover. So this maybe I can discuss in the last. So India's plastic industry, it's exporting raw material, we're exporting extruded products, polyester films, a lot of articles, plastic articles, we're exporting automobile components, sport goods, even for surgical equipments. So a lot of things we are exporting from India to other countries. So excellent potential strength in terms of availability of raw material. So we'll used to have very good raw materials are available in India. Capacity, infrastructure and skilled manpower is available. And in India, we're having one more CPET, maybe. I hope you people know about CPET. It's a Center Institute for Plastic Engineering Technology. So actually this CPET having a lot of most of the cities it having center. In Hyderabad also we having a center. So in this CPET, mostly they're focusing only on the plastic. So plastic processing, plastic entrepreneurship, plastic research. So all these things are happening. Even students can have trained there. They're having short-term courses. They're having long-term courses also available. Even they're offering master's diploma courses as well as master engineering courses also they're offering. Tie up with universities. So in CPET in Hyderabad, they have tie up with Usmania University as well as JNTU. They're offering master diploma courses as well as master of technology, MTech in plastic engineering. So playing significant role in economic growth, because you see how much revenue is coming from in foreign currency, we are generating the revenue. So very good revenue generating by this plastic. So significant growth rate of almost 60% growth rate is there in plastics. I think in India, except IT industry, no other industry having this much growth rate in every year. So 16% every year is increasing. Means if you take within 5 to 6 years, our production capacity will be double. Our requirement means demand of the material is almost double. So this much growth is nowhere, no other industry having. So and also because nowadays this is a Corona time, so we are in pandemic, so we are completely a lot of medical issues are happening. So a lot of medical issues are also happening. So in that even plastics are using for the medical applications also. I think some disturbance are coming. Maybe host can take care about those. So maybe I can. So glimpses of few surgical nowadays. Whatever the PPEs are there. So whatever the PPEs are using nowadays, where the doctors are as well as
please mute all, sir.
Medical staff. So
Anup.
Hello, I'm audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. You can continue.
Okay. So you say in this surgical equipments, so even surgical medical equipments also plastic is useful. So by 2020 in India, we're expecting almost 6.9 billion components can be required for medical application in everywhere. So even including export as well as using the equipments in India also. So because of in this COVID time, still I think requirement of plastic is increased now. So everybody using PPEs, everybody required sanitizers. So everybody required these all things. So these are all things mostly you see that is made of plastics are packed in a plastic containers. So actually my presentation starts from here. So these are all things is only to introduce you about the industry and make you to motivate to listen these things. So these things, processing of plastics. So processing of plastics are depending upon the material. So most of the raw materials we are using in plastic processing is mostly powder form or in the granule forms. Granule forms is nothing but some kind of big lumps, like we having what I can say. Uh, mm, you used to call it as a, in Hindi you used to call it as a dana. So dana means nothing but, it's nothing but a kind of lumps, right? Like our you take a tur dal or maybe some kind of dals if you say. So how that is there? It's like seeds. So granules are nothing but like seeds. So raw material for the plastic we're using powders or maybe in seeds form. So these has to be put in the machine and it has to melt there. So after melting, it is forming into the required shape. So again, like metal, so we're having a different kind of manufacturing process. In that, if you take the two basic manufacturing processes are there. One is melting the material and pouring into the die or cavities, and we're getting the required shape, calling it as the casting process. So here also we're having the same kind of casting process is there. So and second process is metal forming process. In metal forming, what we used to do, we're not melting the material, just we used to heat the material some elevated temperature where strength of the material is decreases, and once the strength is decreases, we are deforming the material into the required shape. So here in plastics also we used to do the same thing. So with the melting the material, the process is called, the processing techniques is called as a injection molding, where you melting the metal, injection molding, extrusion molding, blow molding, etc. Here we are melting the material. And deformation of the polymers, the deformation of the plastics is thermoforming. So whatever the carry bags we are making, so it's a forming process, thermoforming or vacuum or pressure forming. So these techniques we are going to see in next few slides. So deformation, sometimes we're using for deformation suspensions also, deformation of the material plastics in solutions also can be possible. So like if you say the painting, so painting, whatever the painting is there, so that also a kind of polymer film only. So polymer film we are coating on a material. So whether it's a plastic, whether it's a metal, whether it is a wood, we are giving some kind of coating. That also a plastic. So in that, what we're doing, suspension of the plastic particles we are depositing on a surface. So this third and fourth techniques is that one. I'm not going to discuss those techniques. I'm discussing only two techniques: melting and forming. So selection of process is mostly depending upon the performance requirement. So what is the end use of the product, or which kind of material is required, whether it is a polypropylene, whether polyester, or maybe it is a PET material. So depending on the material, our processing techniques will depends. So operation terminology, whether it is a manually we are doing, or we're doing automatic machine, we are doing working on automatic machine or semi-automatic machine. So based upon that, your final product will depend. So a lot of other factors also taking into care. So depending upon weather condition, availability of materials. So all these things will taking care when you are processing. So coming to the processing techniques. So one of the important processing method in plastics are injection molding. So injection molding, I think mechanical students may be aware about this. In your production lab, you have done some injection molding experiment. So in that, what we used to do, so whatever the granules, whatever the dana I told you, so that granules has to put in a hopper. So if you see here, so here it is a hopper is there. So here the hopper, I think you can see my pointer. So anybody can see my pointer?
Yes,
Is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So here, whatever is there, so this is the hopper. So in that, we are taking that whatever the raw material of plastic, whether it is a powder, whether it is a granules. So that granules are keeping in this hopper. So when they're keeping it, it's going into this one. This is a screw chamber. We used to call it as a screw chamber. So this screw chamber used to rotate continuously, connected to a motor, electric motor. So when it's rotating, so whatever the granules are coming in, it's pushing forward. So these granules or powders are pushing forward, and when it is pushing, there is a friction is generating. So because of this friction, temperature is increasing, and at this position, if you take that red rectangular blocks, whatever is there, so these are all the heaters. So because of friction, some temperature is increases, but this temperature is not sufficient to melt the material. So for that, we need to have a heater. So these heaters increasing the temperature of the material, and it is melt the material. So whatever the granular, whatever the powder form is melt and converted into liquid form. So here, at the end of this screw barrel, so material is deposited in the liquid form, and this screw is normally has to move. So there is a mechanism is there. So this once the material is depositing, it can move forward and as well as backward. It is rotate about its own axis, screw, and as well as it can move forward as well as backward. When you're moving forward, so whatever the liquid metal is there, so it is passing through this sprue, it is depositing in a cavity. So these thing, whatever you're seeing this, so this is used to called as a mold. In injection molding, this thing is called as a mold. In somebody is called as a die also. So in extrusion molding, maybe next process, maybe I'm going to explain you. In that, this is to called as a die. So normally die or mold is the same material, same thing. So normally we use die or mold in synonyms. Somebody used to call it as a die, somebody used to call it as a mold. But exactly if you take in engineering terminology, mold is something which is give you some kind of cavity in it. So in this, if you say, so there is kind of T-shape, you can see that blue shape of material. So this is nothing but a plastic. It is depositing here. So in this, you having some cooling arrangement will be there. So in this mold, whatever is there, so mold having almost when very thick metallic bar it is. So in that, you having a cavity as well as you having a channels to circulate coolant. So most of the application we are using water as a coolant. So when this material is depositing in this cavity, so here water is circulating in this pipeline. Maybe I can show you that in my next slides. So in that, water is removing the heat. When water is removing, so whatever the temperature is increasing the heater, the temperature is coming down. The temperature is coming somewhere about 50 degrees, 60 degrees. So at the temperature, whatever the liquid plastic is there, that is freeze to solid plastic. And once is a freeze to become solid, so this whatever the die you're seeing, so die or mold, it is normally made of two halves. So in this half, so this half, whichever you see, so this half is movable and this half is fixed. So when the actually once it is molten metal is drawn into the cavity, so it has to have some time. So maybe it will give you some 10 seconds, depending upon the size of the mold, means size of the object you're making. So size of the object is somewhere about 10 grams to it is maybe in 100 kgs also maybe there. So depending upon the size, it is giving the time. So and after the time, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So this, whatever the movable die is there, this will move forward. And in this, there is the ejectors will be there. So ejector pins are not shown in this. So maybe I will show you in the maybe next few slides. So ejector pins will be there. When this die is move away from this, so this ejector pins will push this, whatever the article from this die cavity, and it will fall down. So whatever the components we are making, it is collecting here. So normally cycle, you used to call it the cycle time from starting of this material is flow in, and finally then when article is drop in this, and this once article drops, so again this movable die is come back to its initial place. So this die is closed. So from forcing the material into this to finally this open and come back to its initial condition, this is called as a one cycle. So normally cycle time will be varies from 1 second to 15 seconds depending upon the type of machine. If it is very accurate high-end machine, maybe cycle time is 1 second. If it is a low machine, maybe a less cost machine and not a fully automated machine, though cycle time may be somewhere about 15 seconds. Even it is going for 5 minutes also. If you take the whatever molded chairs we have, so molded chairs also made this kind of injection molding process only. So because their heavy mass is involving almost not in grams, it is in kgs, right? If you take our chair, molded chair, it is somewhere about 2 to 3 kg. So 2 to 3 kg material to be freeze, for that need more time. So cycle time will be higher. If you take one small bottle, so our cap of a bottle, not only bottle, only cap of the bottle if you take, it's hardly some 3 to 5 grams. So for 3 to 5 grams, you need to have time for freezing is less. So maybe within 5 to 6 seconds, it is freeze. Whereas in for chair, it need to have some 2 to 3 minutes are required. So cycle time is depending upon the material and depending upon the size of the object, whatever we are making. So this cycle time, depending upon the cycle time, our production rate is depends. For example, if you take caps, so cap is hardly in 5 seconds, we are going to get one cavity of material. So normally caps, which is small in size, we used to have multi cavities are there, not single cavity. We used to have multi cavities. So cavity somewhere about 8 cavity to maybe 24 cavities also may be there. So in one cycle, that is 5 seconds, we are going to make almost 24, 8 to 24. If you assume 24 cavities are there, it's a big machine. Assume it's a big machine, injection machine. 24 cavities are there. So in 5 seconds, we're going to make 24 caps. If it's a little complicated size, maybe it is going for 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, we're going to make 24 types. 24 object. Means one object, just you assume 24 by 5. If you take the cap by 5, means in 1 second, we are making nearly 5 caps in 1 second. Just assume in 1 hour, in 1 day, how many number of object we can manufacture. So depending upon the size, complexity, and material, our production rate will be depends. So this is a typical injection machine process. So injection machine, if you take, this is the process, and if you say this one, so in middle, whatever you're seeing blue, so this is the injection machine. Actually, if you go in any plastic factory or plastic industry, you can see this one. This is called injection machine. So this is whatever you're seeing, this maybe orange color, this is a hopper. So from this only we need to feed raw material. This is the hopper, and this is the injection portion, whatever the screw portion I've shown you previously. Screw, so metal is depositing from here and it is coming here, and here there is some kind of heaters are there. So this is actually control system. It is little bit front. So whatever the parameter we need to set. So as the material to material melting temperature is changing. So this is a control panel actually. So with using this control panel, we can set the parameters. So whether how much temperature has to heat in this and how much cycle time we need to give it. So how much cooling rate, depending upon the material to material, melting temperature is changing as well as the cooling rate is changing. So all these things we can control by this control panel. So nowadays, most of the equipments is coming to be sophisticated. So it is loaded with softwares and all this electronics and the computer support systems are there. So this is actually whatever you're seeing, it's an automatic injection machine. So only thing is you need to feed the material, raw material, even raw material also feeding, there is a separate hoppers are there, vacuum hoppers. So directly wherever the reservoir of raw material is there, that you need to collect directly here. And from this, it is collecting from there. So and after completion of the process, whatever the object is there, this is collecting here. So even fully automated machines, here we used to have some kind of robotic arms. So one object is, once injection molding is completed, then this, whenever the two halves of the mold open, so this whatever the robotic arm is come in here, and it will pick that material and it is depositing, keeping somewhere. So it is keeping on the conveyor, and from the conveyor it is going wherever wherever it's required, it is going there, and there it is packing. So this injection machine normally using for automated applications. So normally it's a very good automatic machine, injection molding machine. So growing, this is most of the machine, whatever the plastic components we are seeing, 50% of the plastic components are made by injection process. So in this, see here, so maybe domestic application, whatever the refrigerators, components in the refrigerator, as well as the washing machine, telephonic objects, or maybe your desktop monitors. So whatever things in comb, whatever you are using, even your dashboard in the cars, most of the components is made by injection process by injection machine. So injection process using is called as the injection machines. So coming to the next process. So next process is the extrusion process. So this extrusion operation. So it's similar to our extrusion. So in extrusion, in metal extrusion, what we used to do, we used to keep the hot billet at the die and force the billet to pass to the die opening. So when it is coming out, whatever the shape is required, if our object is a circular shape, so this die opening has a circular shape. If you want to have some kind of different shape of the object has to make, we need to make the die opening in that particular shape. Here also the same principle. So here the same thing, whatever the injection machine portion you're seeing. So in this extrusion also, this part is same. Only part difference is this die. So there we having we used to call it as a mold, I told you. So injection machine, whatever you're using, we used to call as a mold. There is not continuous process. So injection process is a discontinuous process. So it is every 5 seconds, there is a cycle time is there. So every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds, you are getting the object, right? But here it is a continuous process, extrusion. What same process? So here's a hopper. So from the hopper, raw material is coming in, and because of this screw action, material is moving forward. Here we are having a heater, so it's melting. Once this heater, this plastic granules or plastic powder melts, this molten material is forced through this die opening. So this die opening, and it's continuously passing through. So this process is continuously this material is flowing from here because of the whatever the screw motion. It's continuously, there is no movement of forward and backward movement is not there in this. So because of this continuously depositing the material, and screw is rotating, and this whatever the material is moving forward, and because of this force, this material is feeding through this. So in this, through this, it's continuously the material is coming out, and this here we having a lot of other setups are there. So cooling setup as well as the sizing setup, all these setups will be there, and this process will continue. So normally extrusion process, we used to manufacture components like cables, components like tubes, pipes. So because these things are having very long, if you take the wires, it having very long wires are there. So these long components cannot be manufactured by injection process. So it used to, because continuously it is from die, it is coming out, and it is going through some secondary processes. I will explain to you in the next slide. And it is wounding on a drum. And these, after wounding the drum, that can be that we can dispatch to the market. So wherever they required, they can use. So this is widely used for continuous production like wires, films, sheets, tubes. So normally, sometimes we used to use, along with the extrusion process, we using some other activities also to make other components that maybe I can discuss you in the next slide. So this is a typical pipe extrusion plant, pipe extrusion machine. So here, if you say extreme right, so these are our extrusion machine. So plastic extrusion machine, granules are coming, heaters are inside. So metal is coming out here. So here we having a die. So this is a typical shape we are providing. So once metal is passing through the die, it is passing through some kind of calibrator. So calibrator normally measure. So if you want to make a die, so it used to measure the outside diameter as well as thickness of the material. If anything is uneven, it is directly it is giving that response to the back control system, and it is control the material flow. So if any thickness is changes, or if it is diameter is changing, or some kind of distortion is happening in the die, we need to stop the process and change this die. So these kind of things has to taken care by this calibrator. And once is, because this process is continuous, this material is coming here, and this metal is pushing forward from here to up to end. So what happened here, because this is a hard material, even though it is cool down up to some extent in die, but still the temperature is not reaching to the room temperature. Still temperature of the pipes or temperature of the wires is still higher. So here we having some cooling arrangement. So mostly we used to have water jets will be there. So that water jets is carry the material, this whatever the heat is there, carry them, and this is cool down the temperature of pipes to the normal room temperature. And here it is a traction. So traction normally it used to measure. So how much material is coming out and what is the quality. Here it is measuring the initially, and it is here it is measuring at the end. So and then here it is we having a stop, because it's a continuous process, right? So continuous infinite length of pipes we cannot make, we cannot transport. The difficulties is there in the transportation. So we need to have some finite length of pipes or finite length of tubes are required, maybe 1 meter, 10 meter, or 20 meter somewhere. So there when it is, so it will measure the how much distance of this tube is traveled. Once that much distance is traveled, it used to cut the material. So this cutting process, this is nothing but saw. It used to cut the material. For example, we set a 2 meter length of the pipes has to make. So every 2 meters, so after this metal is passed through distance of 2 meters, it used to cut. So finally, so this is a table. So on this table, you are collecting the material. So on this again, similarly, there is some in advanced workstations and advanced plants, we used to have automated. If not advanced, maybe from here, a person can collect this and keep it separately. So this is the typical pipe extrusion plant. So this normally pipes, maybe the pipes are using for domestic applications as well as agriculture purpose, as well as industrial purpose. For any kind of fluids or liquids to pass through, we need to have pipes. So these pipes normally plastic, whether it's pipes are having different kind of pipes are available in the market. So most normally for agriculture purpose, we're using PVC. For domestic purpose, maybe you're using PVC as well as CPVC. So I already told you, so PVC actually not good for health. So wherever we are using drinking water, or wherever you're using used food items are using, there we are not using PVC. Instead of PVC, they used to use HDP. So high density polyethylene. So high density polyethylene is one of the food grade plastic. HDP pipes people used to use, especially for drinking water, whatever we are using. So if you ask your plumber, he can tell you. So wherever you are using the drinking water and wherever you are using for washroom and another, so pipes are differently they're using. So HDP pipes normally using for drinking water, and PVC, CPVC pipes are using other purpose, general applications, because the water which is passing through the PVC is proven that it is not good for drinking. So, but other purposes we can use that. So PVC normally, if in agriculture, if you say, so whatever the pipeline they're using, most of the pipelines are PVC pipes only. So even for HVAC applications, for ducting, so all these things, so people are using this plastic pipes. So third manufacturing process of plastics is blow molding. So I think the time also running out. So almost it is 11:55. So I'll do it faster. So normally blow molding process used to use for hollow object, like bottles are there, like jars are there. So whatever the refrigerated bottles we have. So these bottles are manufactured by blow molding. So in the blow molding, the very simple technique. So here also we're using the dies or molds, whatever we can call. So this whatever the gray color portion you're seeing. So this is nothing but a die. So dies normally made of metals, stainless steel or maybe low temperature application, you're using for aluminum also, stainless steel or mild steel or aluminum dies we used to use. So what you used to use, this used to called as a parison. So whatever this is coming, whatever the green portion is, actually this is plastic material after injection molding. So here you having an injection setup is there. So from the injection, whatever the die is there, from that opening, so these material is coming out. So initially when you're coming out, in maybe you can see in previously, we having some kind of cooling arrangement will be there in the die. But here we don't keep that cooling arrangement. So only thing, we allow the material to be just to solidify. So for example, if melting temperature of a polyethylene, if you take, so polyethylene melting temperature somewhere about 120 degrees centigrade. So whatever the temperature is coming out here is somewhere about just it is the freezed here, but still material is not reaching to the room temperature. So it is at 100 degrees centigrade, 110 degrees centigrade. Even it is a solid phase, but it is not as strong as it is a room temperature. So it is like a semi-solid, I can say. So it's in a semi-solid condition. So in this semi-solid condition, what happened? If you, so this mold, what happened initially, something is, this parison is coming in. So once parison is coming in this, so this mold is closed. If you come into the second picture, so here if you say mold is open, so here you having a passage is there. From this passage, anything can pass through. But in second stage, once this is coming out, so this, whatever the die is used to close. And after closing the die, here you having some kind of, you can keeping some kind of opening, and here you are introducing some kind of air. So this air is going and blowing this, whatever the soft material. When you blown this soft material, what happened? It is along with the air blow, it is expanding, right? Because it's a soft material, it is expanding because there is a metallic die is there. So it cannot cross this die walls. So it is going and taking the shape of a die. So when we supplying it a high pressure air blow, so this is going to take this shape. So whatever you see, whatever the container is required finally, so finally we want this kind of container, right? So initially there is, because we introducing some kind of compressed air, so here it is having some kind of opening, but here it is completely closed. So this, whatever is there, is excess material. Once we make these objects, so this, whatever the excess material is there, we used to cut it and it is to scrap it. So scrap, and again we can reuse this whatever the excess material. So this process is called as a blow molding, because we using air blow. That's why we used to call as a blow molding process. In blow molding, again there is a two different kinds of processes are there. One is extrusion blow molding. If the whatever the material is coming from that, so whatever Parsian you are seeing here, if you see here, so whatever the material is coming out, so this is coming through an injection process. So that's why it's called the injection blow molding. So whatever the previously explained, it's nothing but injection blow molding. So Parsian is coming here, so die is closing, and there is, so air can come from top or air can come from the bottom. So wherever the provision is there, from there you can blow the air. So air is coming in. So one is air is coming in, it will hold it for some time, and here also like injection die. So here also we having some cooling setup. So after some time it is cooled down, it is giving it to the solid state, and then we can move this. In this also you having a two dies, movable die as well as the fixed die. So initially it is distance. So here also it's coming out, and whatever the freezed material is there, it is reached to almost room temperature or just 20 to 30 degrees above the room temperature. So this material is become sufficiently stronger, and then we can remove this material. Once is removed, again this process is starts. So again some material is injecting from here, it is extruding from here, and this material is coming in, and this is closing. So this process also, whatever the process from this stage to this stage, initial first stage to last stage, so this completely process is called as again cycle. So opening this to again is going, or die is going to be again open. So this process called as a cycle. So here also every component having depends upon the cycle. So cycle, this used to called as a cycle time. Time taking from this process to this process is called as a cycle time. And second, in blow molding, again there is a second process is there, that's called as a stretch blow. Stretch blow also called as a injection blow. So here we are using extrusion, here we are using injection. So here whatever you used to call, this used to call as a preform. So initially we used to make this kind of object in injection molding. We freeze it there. Again, that whatever the small components, normally whatever the bottles we used to have, water bottles or maybe refrigerator bottles. So most of the refrigerator PET bottles using this stretch blow molding. So stretch blow molding, they used to first preform as to make an injection. So it is made, because actually this is a two-stage process. Stretch blow molding is always two-stage process, whereas extrusion blow molding is a single-stage process. In this one, first we need to make a preform in injection machine, then remove that preforms, take it to the solid stage, and then coming and inserting into this mold. And here you having some heating system. Initially, when you're keeping the preform, it is heating, and again it is making that plastic to be a solid, semi-solid form. So it's making a soft. When it is soft, again it is keeping in this die. So when keeping this die, there is some kind of air blow, again you are connecting. So this air blow going and expanding this, and when it is expanding, it is taking the shape of the die. So this is called as a mold or die, taking the shape of the mold. So once it's taking the shape of the mold, same thing, it is allowing for some time. So once it solidifies completely, it's getting sufficient strength. Then again opening the dies, and after opening, it's removing from this mold. So this is again, if you are getting, this is the object. So whatever the 20 liter, this is nothing but your 20-liter bottle. So 20-liter bottle, whatever we are using for mineral water. So this is the same process. So even for 20-liter bottle, or maybe in 10, maybe 100 ml of water bottle, process is same. Only thing, your die capacity and this die sizes changes. So a few applications of blow molding. So all the kind of bottles, jars, everything is made by this process only. In top, you can see this is the material is different. This HDP material. So normally HDP is good for extrusion. So extrusion blow molding. So those material that normally using for maybe in pharma applications, in these things you can using extrusion. But if you say in cool drinks or water, we are using PET. PET is nothing but it's a transparent material. In PET, we are using the stretch blow molding. So in these two process, so in this, whatever in the bottom, if you take in right side, this is called as a preforms. So from this preform, if you're blowing the air, then only we are going to get this bottle. So it's a two-stage process, right? So one more process called as a rotational molding. So maybe I'll go it a little faster from now because time is coming to end. Roto molding, normally these things are using for big tanks. Whatever the water tanks are there in our house, plastic water tanks, the Syntex tanks or any other brand tanks. So mostly this is molding by rotational molding, also called as a roto mold. It's a very simple process. Roto mold is similar to our centrifugal casting in metal casting. So here, what you used to do, take the material powder. So most of the roto molding process, we used to take the material powder or maybe granules, keeping in the containers. This is called as a die again. So this whatever is there is metallic die. So keep in this, and you can close this completely closed. After closing, you heat this mold. When you are heating, this material is going to be melt, and this material is going to be revolve about its axis. So when it is revolving because of centrifugal forces, so whatever the molten material is there, that is depositing on the walls of the mold. When it is depositing the walls of the mold and there is a cooling system is there, so this metal is freezed. Once metal is freezed, you remove the second half and you can remove the whatever the product. So this is a typical setup. So this is a typical equipments of roto molding, and this is a typical equipment for water tanks. So these are the few applications which we can making through roto molding process. And then the thermoforming. So this is a deformation process. So until now, whatever we are seeing, injection molding, blow molding, roto molding, everything is a melting process. But here thermoforming is a forming process. So here we are not melting the material. Only we are heating the material to somewhere about just below the melting temperature, so that material cannot be melt like liquid. At the same time, materials cannot be strong. It can be softer. So we heating the material and keeping on the die. So this is a typical die. So in that we having a both vacuum forming as well as a pressure forming. If it is a pressure forming, we used to apply some kind of force on this sheet and deforming the material. When you're applying a force here, whether it is a force by air or force by any kind of plunger. So like a deep drawing process in our metal forming process. So just deforming the material. So when your metal is deforming, it is going and occupying the whatever the cavity is there. So it's going to take the shape. So this whatever the mold is there, we need to make the same shape, which shape we want the final object. So if you want to have final object is a jar. So our container, the whatever the die is there, it has to be in the form of a jar. If it is a cap, so this has to make in the form of a cap. So whatever the shape of the die is there, same type of product we're going to make. So here normally tooling cost is less compared with previous processes, because we are using the air also for applying the pressure. Only cavity is required. That also cavity is only for one side completely open. So these here tooling cost is less. So application, if you say, so this whatever the tablets we're using or whatever the medical applications you are using. So all these things you can see very thin layer of plastic sheets you can see. So all this thin layer of plastic sheets, even food items, so packing of food. If you're going and buying something in restaurant, normally they used to pack with some small containers, very thin containers. So these thin containers all are made by thermoforming. The same thing can possible to make in injection molding also, but thickness, this much fine thickness is not possible in injection molding. That's why we used to go for thermoforming. So then you're going to the blow film. So blow film is nothing but whatever the carry bags we used to make. So in this, similar to your previous process, here also same thing. So here, so material is here it's also a blow film, also a melting process. So here melting the material. So whatever the material is forcing into from the die. So here only difference between the process of extrusion and blow film. So here in between you having a air blow. So whatever the die is there, in between we have air blow. So here whatever the material is coming out, plastic material of less strength that is coming out, and here some kind of air blow is coming, and this metal is completely passing out. So when air blow is coming, this air blow will try to expand this material. So it is expanded, it is forming a kind of bubble kind of thing, it will form in some kind of balloon kind of things will form. So this continuously forcing upward because air movement is upward. So when going up, there is a mechanism is there where you can remove the air. So air is separating, and this whatever the already blown form plastic thin bags are formed, those bags are wounded and taken on a rollers and finally wounded on this this wounder. If you take an example, these are the machine. This is a blow film plant. So here we having the injection setup at the bottom. So here we having a die. So if you take this almost height of nearly 1.5 to 2 meters height. This very big setup. So from this it will blown, and whatever the film you're seeing, so this nothing but it's forming is a kind of thin plastic papers are forming. So this is blowing because of air, it is blowing out. So when paper is blowing out at the top, it is air is removed from there, and there is some kind of packaging is taking place. So that packaging, whatever the second portion is there, so this portion is here, and from there, this whatever the thin sheets are there, it is coming out on the rollers, and finally it is wounding on this. So every periodically, once wound is full, we need to remove this wound automatically. So finally, we used to get the plastic carry bags. If you say nowadays, if you go in any super bazaar, we can find the carry bags in this form. So wounded on this, you need to unwound, and after every length there is a cutting is there. So if you cut it, so already inside there is a joining. So this is a typical process of making the our plastic bags or maybe carry bags. So carry bags, after making this rectangular carry bags, then they used to cut, because normally when you are having carry bag buying in the market, they used to have some kind of handling things also there. So that the rectangular bag they used to cut and making some kind of handle in it, and then they're packing. So this is the recent applications of plastics in sophisticated technology. Plastic is also using nowadays in solar cells. So replacing the silica based cells is replacing with polymers. Even the aluminum, whatever the support sheets are there, support sheets also replacing with plastics. Plastics is using for electronic radio frequency, RF tags, especially for space applications. People are using this nowadays. New electricity conducting plastics also people are generating, because plastics are very bad conductors. But now people are working to produce a conductive plastics. So if you take the graphite is a good conductor. It's conductor of electricity. So using the technology, people are trying to develop the conducting plastics, printing silicon plastics and printing material. A lot of printing. In printing, there is a lot of research is going on to develop a new kind of plastic material, to a new kind of technique. Plastic magnets also coming in. People are working on plastic magnets, and as well as nano composites. Nano composite normally in polymer composites we use it. So these are the few primary processing machines. I'm not going to discuss this, nothing but whatever the process you discussed. So for that, whatever the machine is required. So extrusion, blow molding, stretch blow molding, different kind of machines are there. So these are the machines are required, and these are the few more machines in this. Maybe this is injection machines are there, and thermoforming machines are there. So all these machines are useful. And then this is a typical, I told you the molding. So mold, just I thought to explain to here. So this is the typical mold. So this is a typical cavity. So whatever I explained to you, whether it's an injection, mostly this is a typical injection mold. So metal is coming it here, and it is taking this cavity. And here, if you say there is some cooling setup is there. So here inside every mold, there is a cooling setup will be there, so that they can dissipate heat fastly and increase the speed of the process. If this cooling setup is not there, it needs a lot of time to cool down to the room temperature. To increase the process, they used to go for higher these water cooling setup. Now most of the machines used to have water cooling, but wherever the high-end machines are there, process is higher. We need to increase the cycle time. Then you used to use some special coolants also people are using. Even nowadays, people are using refrigerants to cooling the molds. So this is a typical mold. This you can see the mold of a bottle. So whatever the bottle we are having, this is a 1 liter bottle. So typically using this. So this is the two halves of the mold. So when every time you need to remove it, means it's directly connected to the machine. So this will linearly move forward and backward. One is fixed and one is forward and backward. And here, because water bottles are made by stretch blow, right? So stretch blow normally used to make a preforms in injection. So those preforms are fixing here. heating them and fixing here. And from here top, we are just blowing air. So when you are blowing air, it is going and taking this shape. And similarly, this is a mold of chair. So chair mold. So these are two halves. So one is fixed half, one is movable half. So this is come here, and then when your two halves are your joined together, then you form a cavity. The cavity is similar to your this chair. So in this, material is injecting. So maybe injecting setup will be there. Material is coming in and completely filling this cavity. And after some time, it is cooling down. And once this is going back, this one movable mold is going back. So you'll ready with the chair. So chair is going and removing from this. Then some auxiliary equipments are required for plastics. So we for designing anything, we need to have a softwares. CAD CAM softwares are required. CAD CAM CAE, and we used to have the cooling systems. Normally for especially blow molding as well as injection molding, cooling is very important. So cooling chillers or cooling towers are required. Chillers are cooling towers. So color measurements and control. So every you see the plastics are coming in the different colors. So intensity of color and color codings, all these things is required. And similarly, because especially in blow molding, we need to have air blow. So for that, we need to have the compressor. So compressor is required. Similarly, dryer, dosing and metering. So whatever you're seeing, the pipe extrusion machine, so their dryers are there, dosing, forming, measuring machines, as well as cutting machines are also required to cut that material. So then gas assistant molding equipment like blow molding. So gas is required, and heat exchangers, because when the chillers are there, when cooling towers are there, definitely there is a requirement of heat exchangers are there. And material handling equipments, once is raw material pouring into the machine, as well as after once component is ready, we need to take out the component and we need to pack it. So different material handling equipments are there. So all these things are required for any plastic industry. So then I'm coming to recycling also there. I'm not going to discuss much about recycling. So to avoid whatever the pollution is happening, so one of the solution is recycling. So recycling, we're having different processes. One thing is there. So normally thermosets, we used to go for landfilling. So whatever the thermoset plastics are there, that's not possible to recycle. That's why they used to go for landfilling. And then reusing of plastics, existing form itself we can use for somewhere, and so that we can not dispose this plastic components. And recycling means again you need to convert into the liquid form, and again you need to go for injection molding or blow molding, extrusion. Again you need to manufacture the other component. So all these things is there. So in this basic mechanical recycling, if you take, so these are the processes are there. So processes starts from here. When you're collecting the waste, so waste bottles, and wherever it's there, whether it is from beaches, from the parks, or from your domestic homes. So from everywhere we need to collect, and we need to transport. So they need to pack into transport this to a open space, and there you need to grade it, sorting separately, because whatever the materials we are using in domestic application is not all the same material. So water bottles and cool drink bottles is PET, and oils, edible oils, these things are made by HDP. And similarly, other like pipes, domestic pipes, all these things we making with PVC. So these sorting is required. So once a transportation to a normal open yard, so there we need to separate them, grade them. Once you grade them, the separate material, PET material, separate bundles they need to pack, and other things needs to pack. So after completely packing that heavy lumps, you can put it into the shredding machine. So shredding machine, nothing but it's a grinding machine. So whatever the big objects are there, but it is a bottles, or it is a caps, or it is a jars, or it is anything. So this, when is the material is passing through, it is completely break into the pieces. The small pieces will be there. So these small pieces, because it's a, if example taken the bottles, so bottle having lot of dust and lot of things are there. So inside and outside. So if you're washing before shredding, I think you can clean only outside. If you want to clean in inside, normally in normal recycling plants, so washing will do initially, as well as the washing will do after shredding also. So normally, preferably after shredding, if you do washing, so whatever the dirt, whatever the things are there, we need to remove. Again, into the keeping into the material into the hoppers and converting into the raw material. So you need to heat it again need to convert into the granules, and that granules into keep into the injection molding, and finally again you're going to make the bottles again. But here, so every material is not having the same grade of recycling. That maybe I can show you in the next slide. So this is a typical process of recycling. It's a completely circular process. Again, once life is used, again you go into the waste collection, again into the transportation, sorting, again shredding, then washing. Again, this process has to continue. To this existing scenario, whatever the things is happening, to need to do this, recycling is compulsory in our society. So we need to have separate. In India also, a lot of support is there from the government. As part of Make in India, government giving a lot of schemes are there. which is establish your recycling plants as well as normal processing plants. Also, you can start. So this is one of the collection of water bottles. So PET bottles you can crush and collect in this. Once you put this in opening, so whatever the opening you see, so in this opening, if you keep the bottle, it will crush and it will make into the small pieces. Even shredder also there in this, whatever the grinding machine I used to call. So in that also there, and finally you're going to get some small pieces depositing. Periodically, people shall remove this material and send it to manufacturing plants. So this is a typical different kinds of plastics which we are using. So normally, if you say in any plastic component, you see this kind of numbering 1, 2, 3, 4. So actually, these numbering is representing the material type. So number 1 means it's a PET material, PET, polyethylene terephthalate. 2 means it's a HDP, high density polyethylene. If it is a 3 coating number is there on the plastic, every plastic package you see, if you observe it on that, this kind of logos, this kind of images you can see. If it is 1 means that made of that particular material. If for example it is a P5, 5 is nothing but representing for polypropylene. So mostly used in engineering as well as domestic application is these 6 materials. So this is the polyester. So polypropylene, LDP, PVC, and other material is grading as the 7. So which is consumption is less. That's why this grading as 7. So then recycling, there is we having some limitations in recycling. So most important limitation is we need to grade the material. So identify the metal, identify the plastic bottles, which if we don't have that numbering sticker, so then it is very difficult to identify. So identification is very difficult in recycling. So blending and composites, we need to mix it. The different sizes, different shapes of the objects are there. So blending is different and limiting number of cycles. As I told you, we cannot go for infinite number of cycling process. As one cycling process is going on, the quality of plastics is decreasing. If you take the water bottle, so water bottles are different brands of water bottles available in the market. If you take the branded like Kinley, Aquafina, or this branded water bottle, if you say, the quality of bottle is good, but especially you see transparency. So transparency of the bottle is very good. If you take the local branded also available in Hyderabad as well as in every city, if you take that one, so that local brand, whatever is there, they used to go for the recycled material. So normally recycled material cost is less. So as cost is less, at the same time, the quality of plastics also decreases. So quality means maybe strength is good, but clarity, because normally PET, quality of the PET we used to measure depending upon the clarity of the transparent. So how clearly we can see. So clarity of the water, other water bottle, if you say, the clarity is less. Because the local manufacturer, they used to go for less price of the bottle. So when less price of the bottle, definitely the manufacturer will give you the recycled material. So limited number of cycles. So these are the few limitations are there. So then we're going for chemical recycling to overcome this one. So we need to do the chemical recycling. In chemical recycling, what we used to do? So previously in mechanical recycling, we are not again going for the monomers. We cannot not converting into monomer. We need to keep as it is in physical form. That physical form is changing the phase, melting, and we can solidifying into the required shape. But in chemical form, you need to do some kind of chemical reaction, and we need to separate the elements into its monomer size. Again, you're going to make them into a fresh polymer. So this chemical recycling is a process by which polymer is chemically reduced to its original monomer forms. It can eventually be processed and remade into a new plastic as a fresh. So if you're going for chemical recycling, so whatever the limitations previously just now I discussed with you, those the quality of plastics may not come down. So same quality of the plastics you're going to get. But only thing in chemical recycling, because it's chemical reactions are involving, the cost of the process is higher. So this is a typical chemical recycling plant layout. So we need to collect the waste, and we need to go for some kind of gasification as well as some liquidification also we can do it, and make it convert into again as a monomer. So in that monomer again you need to go do for the polymerization process. So after polymerization it is coming in the form of a liquid or gases. So that liquid and gases in hydrocarbons. So in that hydrocarbons again you're doing some chemical bonding between the whatever the big chain of molecules. Again you can form the material, and this material is as a new material, as a fresh material. So in mechanical recycling and chemical recycling, those are the difference. In mechanical recycling, the properties or characteristics of material is maybe deteriorating as the number of cycles are increasing. Whereas in chemical recycling, it is not decreasing. But only difficulties here, it is expensive process. So nowadays, whatever the recent development in plastics is bioplastics. So plastics normally we used to extract, we need to generate from this petroleum products. So in petroleum, whatever the resins are there, so resins are coming from the petroleum product. From that, we are manufacturing whatever the PET, whatever the PVC, whatever we have discussed. So all this material is coming from that petroleum products. So these petroleum products are not degradable. It is always will be there. So now the peoples are working to go for a biodegradable plastics. So these biodegradable plastics are produced from the plants. So maybe converting starches and sugar or carbohydrates of different vegetables or different fruits or different agricultural products, making those elements and they're making a polymers. So plant plus fiber reinforcement plastic, soya beans, all these things people are working. So recently I told you I visited that IIT Mumbai. So there I think a lot of professors as well as a lot of students are working in this development of bioplastics. So a lot of people are working. So normally this plastics is easily dissolved in water. So not immediately. So if you can keep this plastic for a long time in water, it is dissolving in the water. So whatever the things is happening, that can be avoidable by using this bioplastics. Just before winding up, just I'm just going for plastic consumptions. Different applications, maybe we having a different consumption. Most highest usage of plastic is packaging. So any component nowadays, anything we are buying from the market, we used to have proper packaging. So packaging is the 24%, and agriculture is the second highest consumer requirement of plastics. So almost 23%. So actually, I am also involving in the packaging. So whatever the products I am manufacturing in plastic engineering, it is nothing but packaging equipments. So these are the different kind of materials. So in that polyethylene, most popularly used material is polyethylene. So whatever the polythene, so polythene using for carry bags as well as the containers and different applications we're using. Most popular is polythene, and PVC also using PP, polypropylene also people are using nowadays. And in this polyethylene itself, PET also is one of the polyethylene products. So PET, polyethylene terephthalate, PET. So whatever the bottles we are using, water bottles or refrigerator bottles or maybe in cool drink bottles, most of them is using polyethylene terephthalate. One more terephthalane element is adding in that. So these are the plastic processing techniques. I told you, I think last I told to discuss about how to start a startup. So these are the few steps are there to starting a plastic processing. So first we need to find the customer's requirement, then a working schedule, how much time is required for the process, then material purchasing, purchase the materials, then processing that whatever the materials are there, whether it's the stretch blow molding, whether injection molding, you need to start process, and then going for any plastic. So here he was mentioning as injection molding. So whether it's injection molding and extrusion molding, you need to do the processing of the plastics, and then data setting, you need to verifying that whatever the production you have done, because normally plastics are using for mass production, not for the batch production and not in the small job order production. It's the mass production. So before going for continuous production or mass production, we need to check initially if any parameters are there. We need to set that. If maybe thickness, when I used to manufacture the size of the bottles of thousands of bottles, then what you used to do initially, I used to make few bottles first. I would check it, the thickness and its weight, everything I will check. If everything is fine, then I will going for continuous production process or mass production process. So mass production process, once mass production process is done, then we go into the quality checking. So periodically we need to check the quality, even though initially you set all the parameters, but still when you continuous production is there, by random checking is required. Quality, maybe in quality control you studied about that one. In production planning and control, you studied about the quality checking. In that some periodical checking, random checking also there. So that random checking we used to do. Quality control. Once this quality control is clear, product has to be packed and it is keep it in the warehouse until it is sale. Once is the sale, it has to deliver to customer. So these are the few processes are there. So in this, any process, people can choose, and they're having a very good scope in any of the one process, whether it is a processing, because I'm involving here, somewhere here, fifth. So the processing of plastics. So when processing and quality control, all these things are involving in this. So one process or multiple process, maybe you can choose it. So these are the 12 basic steps for manufacturing of any plastic component. So constraints and challenges, there is some challenges are also always there. To overcome these challenges, maybe you can give a solutions and it will be a good prospect for you. Skilled manpower, the skilled manpower is required. Troubleshooting, so what are the problems are coming in operations, we need to give the solution. Mold designing, so every component has to have a mold. So whatever the components you having, maybe in your mouse, whatever we are having a mouse we are making. So this is also made of plastic. So this, to make this one, we need to have a different, I think some hundreds of parts are there. So each part, most of the parts are made of plastics. So each part you need to have a mold. So mold is required, designing of mold, testing facility, certification. There is agencies are there who certifying. I told you the food grade plastics. even food processing. Certification is required, so that certification is there. Proper management of plastic waste, the most important in India especially. So proper management or disposition system. And environmental control. So these things are required. So opportunities in plastic industry. So these are the few opportunities you can have. Raw material manufacturing, additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing means, I told you, the plastics are made of powders or granules. So that is plastics, a PP or PP, PVC. But that we need to have some kind of coloring. So sometimes we need to add some kind of extra agent so that strength of the material can increase. So those kind of additive manufacturing, machinery. So all these things is manufactured in machineries, whether injection machine, blow machine, extrusion machine, machinery, technology providers. So maybe consultants, researchers, students, processors, quality management systems, and other management procedures, standardizing the components, testing and certifications, end users to depend. It's nothing but it is a delivering to the end users after the end of the life management, nothing but recycling of the process. So all these are the scopes are there to start your own startups. Any of these things you can start your startup. You can manufacturing a raw material from extract of petroleum product, additive manufacture. You can additive. It's not additive manufacturing. Additive components. So whatever the additives we are adding in the plastic, for that also you can manufacture. So all these things scopes are there. So plastic future in India. So it is one of the leading sector. So expanded almost 15 to 16%. I told you the growth rate of plastics is almost 15 to 16%. So annual growth. So biggest contributor in Indian GDP. Almost 10 million people are dependent on this industry. So you see almost 10 millions means 1 crore. So our population is 1.3 billion. In that almost 0.8 to 1% of the people are depending upon this one. So it is giving very good GDP. So GDP is there almost 5 to 6% of GDP is coming from plastic industry. 20% contribution is in this industry. 20% people are the big players like Reliance or maybe in Adani groups are there, and remaining all 80% of the people are the small manufacturer like me. So they're not having big investment. They're not having crores of investment. Maybe a few lakhs. Even with you can properly plan. You can plan with a few thousands also. You can plan. If you want to have trading in this, you can have this in thousands also. You can start this business. So biggest plastic industry is situated in Gujarat, because Gujarat, I think industrial wise, it's one of the best state in India. So even plastic also almost 55 to 60% of production in India is coming from Gujarat. So this not only in automobile, so highest consumption packaging, agriculture. After that, it is coming to be automobiles also. Automobile also one of the biggest consumer of plastics. So every car, if you take 155 pounds of plastic is required. 155 pounds means almost it's coming to be something about I can say nearly 100 kg of material is going in that. So in car or maybe any kind of automobile. I'm talking about average. So currently employed 9 to 10 million people are depending upon this. So plastic industry having, I think, good future now. Maybe people are thinking that it is because government is going to ban. So but it's not possible to ban. You just see in your surrounding. So how many components are made of plastics? Can it possible to replace them? Just example, if you take whatever the laptop I'm taking, so whatever the system you're attending, whatever the mobile on that you're attending your this webinar, or whatever the components you're using, most of them is made of plastics. Is it possible to replace this plastic material with any other material? So people are working, so they're developing, but it's not that much easy to replace. So next 20 to 25 years, not possible to replace. But whatever the problem is coming, disposing of the scrap plastics, those things we need to reduce. That is the most important thing. We need to do. Otherwise, there is no harm for plastic industry. So thank you very much. And with this, I have complete my today's presentation on plastic.